Yo, I had ice on my windshield. Fucking not today, but yesterday.
I haven't had that yet. I've seen frost a couple times in the morning.
I think it's because like we live in a cul-de-sac, so like the wind, and it's a little bit downhill through the cul-de-sac, so the wind blows fucking constantly. Like we have a low pressure fucking system in my backyard or something. There's just wind.
Just in your backyard.
Just in my backyard. There's just wind down the cul-de-sac. Fucking all. It's crazy. It's like a wind tunnel. So I think that's why the dew froze on my windshield.
It's like
yeah, we've had frost a couple times. Like I've seen it on the grass and shit on the mulch when I go up to work, but I haven't. Not even on my windshield. I haven't had any.
See, we didn't even have it on the grass though. It was on my windshield, and I looked at the grass, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
It's got to be that pressure.
It's been real
system.
foggy, man.
That low pressure system in my backyard.
That's just the most. That's like just the most suburban white dad.
Damn right. What's the weather today, boys?
It's got to be a low pressure system blowing through the cul-de-sac. That's what it is.
He said in his New Balances.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Proper grass stains on them.
Yeah, buddy.
Well. Anyways, well, let's see where we're at as far as the idea of a blown out Kermit the Frog maybe getting back on the field. Okay, let's make that our first topic while we start episode 26. Backyard Blitz start brought to you by Backyard Sports. I'm Raul Herrera. I got Gary Freeze. I got Andy Flint. Andy Flint is back after his short stint off. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. I'm disappointed I missed the Timmy show. I don't know if he likes to be called Timmy or if he'll beat my ass, but fuck it. It is what it is.
Timmy!
I got the feeling from that episode he doesn't like to be called Timmy.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, what did he say he was accurate up to? 2 miles or some shit like that on a target?
6,000. 6,000. That's like 3 nautical miles.
No, it ain't far enough to hit me in New York.
Yeah, you're right. But he travels a lot. So that means
light with nothing but masculinity and a sniper rifle.
That's right. The Musk and his whoopee.
It's whoopee.
It was a good show though. You guys did a good job. Tim was great.
Thanks, man.
It was great.
You know, I won't comment on the small NBA portion.
No,
we were hoping,
means,
we were wishing you had been there.
Please do.
Listen, opinions are great.
Opinions are fleeting, apparently. Very fleeting.
Listen, everybody's allowed to have an opinion, man. I don't like fucking hockey. I think hockey is garbage.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, but Gary doesn't agree.
Yeah, but you don't say you love hockey one day and you hate hockey the next.
Looking at you, LeBron. Looking at you.
Listen, here.
Free speech one day, censor speech the next.
In speaking to that, I can't even disagree with the opinion on that because, and I've said this probably for a long time, is LeBron is, my dog is being an asshole. She barks at nothing.
Really?
She barks at the Patriots defense out there. Shout out to you.
Oh, that just means Timmy's arrived.
But, you know, he's here to kill me. So, I mean, you know, LeBron
Tim Kennedy
is one
has
of those
entered
guys
the chat.
Where if you get a microphone in front of his face, he is so bipolar.
Yeah, he
because
is.
You know, sometimes LeBron his shit is social power bombs.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, the fuck is he doing? You know, and
it's kind of like that.
It's
kind of like that clickbait factor, but also like, you know, and you guys are gonna be proud of me for using this word. He's waffling with a monster social media following.
Right. I mean, he really does use celebrity probably more so than anybody to convey the good aspects of things and to be that guy who doesn't back down, and we love him for that. But at the same time, sometimes it's like, why the fuck did you put a microphone in front of this guy?
Right.
Like, stop doing that.
He really, I mean, he does some great things, but it's just, you know, coming out and essentially just like deferring on a regime that censors, oppresses, and murders its own people after, like, within 365 days of being at the forefront of a movement here in the States where, we have a contingent of the population that is oppressed, and to take the politics out of it, treated unfairly, murdered probably sometimes, but it's just that flip-flop was really, I think, the big thing. And Andy, you said it right. When he's got a microphone in front of him, he can be very bipolar. One day he's talking about how great his teammates are, and the next day he's saying we need another playmaker. I don't know, we've talked about that around the trade deadline before, so I think that's kind of.
I will. Final note. I will say this: it's got to be hard having a fucking microphone shoved in your face.
For sure.
Somebody like LeBron has a microphone shoved in.
And it's
face.
Not one; it's like 1,000, and questions from every angle about everything. And they ask him about sensitive social subjects because he's talked on them before, and then he gets the tough questions. I get it.
So I think in a sense we're like, hey, these should be softballs. It'd be easy for us to do, but it probably does suck. But at the same time,
you get a microphone in front of you, it makes it tougher.
That was a lob pitch wiffle ball, and he struck out.
I don't know, man. I feel like if the initial whole conversation, he's sitting here saying like, no, fighting for free speech and doing that, and then later kind of backtracking, obviously there was probably some reprimands, some discussions from the NBA about it, just like, hey, shut the fuck up. I mean, I don't know that I'm gonna go the other side of the fence. I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna talk on the issue anymore. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. But all I will say is at the beginning, like, fuck all of you. And, you want to oppress your people, that's on you. But we as Americans are always going to promote free speech. And then, it is what it is. Go through the routes of becoming an American and get you a better life.
Yeah, the big thing is, like, it's so much money. And it's pretty clear the stance that the NBA is taking. And it looks like it got to the players. Like, you should take the stance of, we're going to stay out of this because Maury put his foot in his mouth, according to Xi Jinping, and we won't get too geopolitical about it, but all he did was say stop censoring people, like they should have the right to protest and stuff. Isn't that what we support in America?
Shout out to Daryl Morey too.
Because, for sure, man.
He's in my humblest of all opinions, he's in the right here.
He's absolutely in the right.
Shut the fuck up and dribble.
I would agree with you 100%. He's absolutely in his right. But I mean, we talked about the NBA. We're talking about the NFL. Raul mentioned Kermit.
Yeah, what happened to the NFL? Are we talking Kermit the NFL tonight?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the NFL. We're going to talk about some Sesame Street or some Jim Henson. Muppets. The Not Muppets. Yeah, whatever. Same thing. They're all fucking puppets. So let's talk about the idea that Andy Reid could very possibly, in my opinion, I think he could very possibly start a not very injured, but injured enough for concern.
Considerably.
Yeah. Pat Mahomes, a man who dislocated his knee, had it reset on the field, if I'm not mistaken, and then taken back for, some testing, some scans. And it turns out they say best case scenario, he's out 3 games. Well, here we are.
Game 1.
A game later, and the rumor mill is circling, and there's a possibility that we could see him. So kind of a 2-part question. Do you think he comes in? And the dumb question, do you think he should? Andy, let's start with you.
Uh-oh. I almost died. So, I realized it's I had a tab popped open and it started playing music in my ears like an asshole. Those fucking ads, man. Get them out of here. God damn heathens.
I love that, like, super. I mean, you went from having this, like, you're, like, listening kind of intently to just, like, fucking deer in the headlights as you're trying to.
It just started, and not only was it playing a commercial in my ear, but it was like super bass. Like, why do you need that much reverb, jerks, to talk about something that doesn't even matter? They're talking about the Giants. So.
Oh, because they're playing funeral music.
Right. Well, I hope. It's a big game. The Packers, the Chiefs. But don't make that mistake. Andy Reid, you've already made all kinds of blood pressure mistakes in your life. Probably never made the wrong mistake when it comes to choosing your menu. And listen, shout out, because I like to eat, man. Mozzarella sticks, jalapeno poppers, pizza logs, fucking shrimp scampi, all the shit.
Quick question. What the fuck is a pizza log?
You never had
what?
Whoa, this motherfucker's never had a pizza log. Let me school you. So it's like if you had an egg roll.
Yeah.
So it's an egg roll, but imagine that bitch filled with pizza,
marinara, cheese, and pepperoni.
Right.
Or you leave the marinara out. You just do cheese and pepperoni, and then you dip it in the marinara.
Okay, yeah. So all right. So I've had it. It's just not called a pizza.
Right.
Got it.
Right. Okay. It's probably called like a Lone Star bite or some bullshit because you guys tried to market it as your own.
Talking all that shit, wearing a fucking rodeo wear hat from Texas on your head. Shut your tits and continue your point.
I like the hat. You like the beard. So, yeah, I think that, it's a huge mistake. Don't do it. I understand the allure of wanting to do it this week with the Packers there, but it's blasphemy. Save them. Let Kermit rest. Forrest, Magic Legs. Let's go, baby. We need Mahomes. We not just as Chiefs, like the Chiefs.
We need him in December, in January.
We need him as NFL fans. We need Mahomes. And the Chiefs, they can make up this deficit. They can lose a couple games. It's not the end of the world. All they have to do is get into the playoffs. That
division isn't as good or competitive as we thought it would be. We thought I did, and a lot of people thought the Chargers would be competitive. The Chiefs can absorb this loss and still win the division.
I agree.
For sure.
Gary, do you have anything else additionally?
I'm
feel
like
we're all kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Andy, and I'm gonna say like one quick kind of sidebar on it. Like I think by today, Mahomes was probably feeling good because he didn't do like structural damage, and that's like best case. It's phenomenal to hear because it means he's gonna be able to finish the season if they let him get back. And I believe they have a bye next week. So 3 weeks for him would really align with like their next game because it was a Thursday game where he's got like a couple extra days. But I will say, so I had a shoulder that I had dislocated in high school and tore like my labrum, my capsule, like just tore it up bad. But I'd never got it surgically repaired. So it would come out and a couple days later I would feel good. That's probably what Mahomes is feeling right now. But if I could give him any sort of warning or advice, like if he's watching by chance, whatever, don't do it because it is weaker and he runs the risk of much more damage, a la RG3 in the playoff game, where he clearly had some sort of damage in that knee. He's wearing a brace. And the sloppy field, the winter conditions, that sort of thing made it worse. Who knows, like a misstep, an offensive lineman gets blocked into him, that sort of thing. It's going to have adverse effects. Don't rush back. Andy Reid, for the love of all things football, don't rush him back. I agree with Andy completely.
That was an excellent point, and you stole it. I was going to bring up RG3, the exact same thing. Do not make the same mistake. Do not ruin this guy's career by fucking bringing him back too early. There is no such thing as giving this guy too much rest. You've seen what he's capable of. You've seen the amount of touchdowns he's getting, the looks, the raw natural talent, the ability to make plays when there's nothing there. I mean, come on. do not fuck this up, Andy. You want to fuck up your glucose levels? Go for it. You want to fuck up the buffet? Go for it. This message is brought to you by diabetes. But anyways, let's move on to our next topic. Unless
this
you got something,
message
Gary.
is brought to you by a guy who has fucked up a buffet.
I lied though. They don't have a bye next week. They do play, but they play the Vikings, and it's a tough game. But they really should let him get to 100%. To echo what Raul said, no rest, no amount of rest is too much rest for him. Make sure he's healthy, because that division is not going to get away from them. And if he comes back in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks healthy, and they run the table at the end of the season, they're going to win that division.
Well, and that's my point, is that we're barely about to come in halfway in the season.
Well, and they're 4-2, I think, right now, so they're fine.
4-2, and in theory, their division should be an easy victory. I'm sitting him. I mean, when I heard the news that it was best case scenario, he should miss about 3 games. I'm thinking miss 4 just to be safe.
Well, that's what we talked about, though, right? In the immediate aftermath, we talked about it a little bit. And I told you guys, like, speaking from experience with a dislocation, like, in about 3 weeks, he'll be okay if there's no structural damage. 3 to 5 weeks. I think I said like 3 to 5 weeks. And he got really lucky that there was no structural damage, and that's best case. And give him time to fucking be 100%, because that's your future. You bring him back, he shreds the entire knee. I mean, there's a proof of concept in fucking DC. Andy Reid is very familiar with the Redskins. He should know what the fuck went on with RG3. You can't bring him back too soon. You can't. You've got to let him get healthy.
I think they're posturing. Right.
I think it's posturing. I hope, anyway. I hope it's posturing that they're just trying to say, oh, they have to prepare for 2 different quarterbacks. I hope that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, either way, the Kansas City defense is going to struggle against Green Bay, and then that Packers defense is going to potentially have a big game. I think that they would have a potentially big game even if Pat Mahomes was behind center. I mean, the defense is just that good this year. And now you've got Rodgers heating up. He's getting into his zone. I mean, the Packers are
50 fantasy points last week.
They're looking fucking good. So, some other news that's happened this week in the we're seeing little bits and pieces of it in the Twitter sphere. We've got Sanu to the Patriots, right? And then Sanders, out for trade from the Broncos, gets picked up.
Headed to the Bay.
To the Bay to see if pretty boy Garoppolo can get him some looks. So since I don't know what kind of nickname to give him, just fucking Flacco, this horrible I don't even know.
Elite.
Yeah. So who I would say that both organizations, and I know Gary, we've already kind of pre-talked this, but Gary's going to disagree a little bit on one, but I think both organizations won. I think that Sanu obviously kind of filling in conveniently around the time that Gordon gets placed on a season-ending IR, and I'm not going to put my tin hat on. I'm just going to fucking say it and then leave it there. I'm going to shut up and dribble. And
I'm going to pick up my tinfoil bowl.
Dude, you're going to go put your tinfoil fucking suit on. But, yeah, so whatever. I think Sanu's going to be a good fit. Touchdown time, he's going to make anything happen. But having him at the wideout position is going to be a great spot. It's going to be a great spot. He needs that. He loves that. It works. So then you've got Sanders with Garoppolo. I can't help but feel like it's a good fit. I was just talking about it earlier this week or last week that the one thing Garoppolo needs to be better is some better passing threats, and I think that Sanders still has it. I think he's just been fucking plagued with a shitty quarterback and a shitty offensive line that can't protect the quarterback long enough to make something happen. So, yeah, his stock has gone down regardless of whether or not his quarterback or offensive line was good. But I think the talent is definitely still there. So, Gary, I'm going to go to you last. Andy, what do you got, bud?
You always do that shit. here's my thing. I like both receivers. I think both plays were good plays. Touchdown Tommy getting a big weapon, 6'2", big dude, big paws. But I think I lean towards Sanders. Sanders is a much smaller dude, 5'11", more like a $180. But this is what I say about Sanu. And I've said this for years, ever since what he played in Cincinnati, and he had that front flip touchdown. Do you remember that shit?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
And he's got these videos in this offseason of him showing guys how to catch the ball. He's catching all these one-handed things. He's a little bit of like a more show than go wide receiver. And I think Sanders is almost the opposite. He's more of a go than show receiver. You don't see the highlight reel from Sanders, but the productivity has been there when it was able to be there. Raul said something about a shit quarterback.
It's been a couple
shit quarterbacks. It's been a whole shit show. It's been like a bag of Frito shit show.
Hey, I said that he has constantly had a shit quarterback. It just the duration. Yeah.
The plural wasn't there. I get you though. Okay,
yeah.
we're on the same page. Listen, I still like you. You're a good dude. But I think emerging from the shadows of that, they had that two-headed monster with Demaryius Thomas and was it Eric Decker? That guy. Remember that guy? You know, you had Emmanuel Sanders came over and kind of, was like the Phoenix from the Flames a little bit. And I like Sanu. Again, don't get me wrong. I think Sanu's probably going to be the more productive of the two, considering he has the better system, the better quarterback. Bill Belichick's going to find him ways. But I do think I prefer Emmanuel Sanders, which is weird to me because, like, if we were playing Madden, give me the 6'2", 215 all day over the 5'11", $180. Fuck you, Gary.
Boom. Fucking boom. Drop that mic. Walk out. All right. Fucking showing your whole ass. All right. Gary, we're going to move on to the next topic. So here we go.
Fuck you. I'm jumping in.
All right. Go ahead. Get on your soapbox. Let's go.
So it's not so much that, like, it's hard. We talked about this ahead of time. And I brought it up for this reason, because it's hard to separate, like, how good of a fit Sanu is with the offense he's headed to and how little sense, to me personally, Emmanuel Sanders makes in the Bay, because they already have a better version of Emmanuel Sanders and Marquise Goodwin. So, Sanders has done some things in his time in Denver, especially, with making some contested catches and whatnot. But, like, Goodwin stretches the field. He's small. He's undersized. I think San Francisco needs a big guy like Sanu, or, who knows? Maybe A.J. Green is on the block because he's finally getting healthy. But that's what I thought San Fran was going to go after, a big-bodied guy who could move the chains and maybe be a threat down the field. But so I had to think about this because we talked about it ahead of time as, like, receiver versus receiver. And I still lean towards Sanu only because of the age factor for both of them. They've both been in the league a while, but Sanu's size makes a difference for me in terms of later in your career. A guy who is 6'2", as Andy brought up, who can kind of box somebody out, that sort of thing. But the one thing that really, to me, I thought about in a game plan mentality late in the season, what are the Patriots really good about doing? Finding some sort of gimmick to change the tide of a game, right? It was Edelman throwing a touchdown to Amendola against the Ravens back, before they went and beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl. And it's these little things. And, like, if Brady holds on to a pass, they probably change the tide against the Eagles. Instead, Foles is the guy who wins on fucking Philly, right? Sanu has, like, the highest quarterback rating in the history of the league if you take out of account the fact that he doesn't have enough throws to qualify. So I think we could see some real gimmick plays with him later in the season. but I'm still taking into account the system, so it's kind of unfair. So I think his skill set translates better across the league in a sustainable manner than Sanders being 5'10" and being kind of this quick turn speed guy. I think he's kind of lost a step. He has had some really bad quarterbacks in Denver, though. You're absolutely right about that. But I still lean towards Sanu. I think it's a little closer after our conversation earlier, though. I was very much in favor of Sanu going into this topic. But taking the system out of it, I think it's a lot closer.
Well, there you have it. Andy, do you have any
From
remarks?
the Pats fan, folks, there you have it.
Watch your fucking mouth.
Oh.
I had to.
I know.
I
You always do.
myself.
You're going to call me a Warriors
morning,
fan when we do a basketball episode.
You are.
He's a Pats fan, just like Marinelli's your favorite coach.
I actually think I do finally have a team when we get to the NBA, though. Maybe.
Steph Curry's going to be happy to hear that.
Oh, son of a bitch. Hey, can we get Rob Marinelli to sign a poster for Andy?
Yeah.
This guy.
Send that shit to my house.
Will do. I'll get it
Fucking
framed.
Burn it. I'll burn it on the show.
So
Yo,
angry.
that guy is an asshole.
You
There's
love
not
him.
many. I know a lot of assholes. I've met a lot of assholes. That guy is more of an asshole than most assholes. He's more of an asshole than assholes who drive 45 into 55 in the left lane. Like, he's that kind of an asshole.
This is a great rant. Continue.
Like, you would see him with his wife on a Sunday afternoon heading to fucking Applebee's, and they probably call it the Applebee's. 10 miles an hour under the speed limit, left lane. And then when you pass them, they probably honk the horn and get all pissed off in their Lincoln. Fuck. Hate that guy.
So where does this stem from? Because I feel like I've missed something.
No, he was in Detroit.
Yeah, so that's why you hate him, just from his time in Detroit?
He was horrible, man.
He was bad. He actually is the reason that Andy and I have had the conversation about the plus one rule.
That just seems so fucking personal, though.
Right.
Like, you
he is the reason we've had the plus one rule talk. And for all you NFL fans out there, and probably across all sports, but we really talked about it in the NFL. The plus one rule is somebody who excels at one certain job, maybe it's an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, and then they go to be a head coach and they fucking flop. Rod Marinelli was the guy that inspired that talk between us. And there's plenty of examples, but he was just the guy that inspired the talk.
Right. All these coaches in across every sport, they have a ceiling. So, like, and, there's others to go to another Lions former head coach. Jim Schwartz's ceiling was great defensive coordinator, and he got hired one hire and became a head coach, and he wasn't good at it.
Yep.
So you get that in the NFL. Rod Marinelli was horrible. He was a guy over there who was just like, he was the George W. Bush of NFL head coaches. Like, over
he was
his
quick
head.
to fall on the sword, though.
He didn't know what he was.
Backs.
Oh, listen, like, I might like him as a man, but as a head coach,
not as a head coach.
Jesus Christ. Yo, go give Michelle Obama some fucking candy, bud. I'm done. I'm over it.
Go get Ellen DeGeneres in trouble. Anyways, fucking,
we're off the rails.
Shithole world we live in, man. Everybody's so soft and defensive and offended.
Go knock down a fucking no.
Jesus, man.
I have to watch my mouth.
Hey, fucking
listen. I have.
We'll
blame it on the yak.
On the yak. Shit, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Flint off the Henny. All right.
I just J.R. Smith the whole show.
Dude.
Shout out to Cornbread Earl.
Fuck you mean timeout?
Fucking call timeout, man.
Fuck you mean timeout? Anyways, we had more topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about
all right.
a couple of running backs.
Couple running backs. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the monstrosity. I so regret not drafting him in my fucking fantasy league. Christian McCaffery. Fucking stud. And I don't even want to know what that is. Dalvin Cook. Sorry. I got an alert on something. So we have premieres going on our episode 25. Yeah. And I just had somebody angry face something. And so, he'll catch this. He'll come.
It was Andy angry face in the NBA talk we had.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Anyways, so he'll come see these hands later. So Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey. I will let you guys expand on the subject because McCaffrey's the fucking man, and Dalvin Cook he had a good performance last night, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but okay, I will speak on the entire, I was legit concerned about the Vikings, and I'm so glad I did not start Cousins last night. But
he didn't get a bunch of touchdowns.
No, he sure as fuck didn't. But anyways,
Cook, I mean, it doesn't help when your wide receiver who demanded the trade fumbles on a 35-yard fucking completion.
Well, they're both. I mean, yeah, you're right. So
you know who did start Cousins was Gary Freeze.
I actually started him and fucking Thielen.
Hey,
I forgot to check my lineups.
I forgot
to check my lineups.
Listen, I'm liking it.
I
appreciate it.
How'd that work out for you, bud?
I need an exemption, Commissioner.
No thanks.
I forgot to check my lineups, and I got fucking Thielen starting.
Yikes!
Who did? I'm gonna let it ride.
Anyway, I'm gonna jump in on this conversation because I've talked a lot about McCaffrey, and I gave the Panthers a lot of fucking guff shit about drafting him because I thought they were going to misuse him because I thought Cam Newton was going to be their fucking quarterback for his career. However, now we're seeing exactly what fucking Christian McCaffrey can be with a quarterback who can complete a goddamn pass to him. Fucking
Talk about
Cam cannot complete a pass to his own fucking shadow. Shout out to the little kid in the fucking commercial that grew up to be Kyle Allen and stole his starting position in Carolina. Christian McCaffrey is showing his entire ass because they are fucking using him the way he should be used. Get him on the edge, give him the ball up the middle when you have spread formation, throw him the ball out of the backfield. That dude is a fucking monster.
And then the man gets off the field. He links up with Edelman's ex-girlfriend, and he runs it down the middle again. Let's talk about it.
Smashing shit up the middle.
God damn it.
For sure.
Absolutely. The man can't catch an L. He can't.
Nah, that dude is fucking winning, drinking tiger's blood for sure. But I love Dalvin Cook too because he brings a different skill set to the table. He's a bit shifty. He's not as shifty as McCaffrey. He's fast. He's got killer speed. He can run around you, but that dude will run the fuck over you. He's not afraid to put his shoulder down. He's a better pass blocker than McCaffrey. Not a better pass catcher because McCaffrey has elite. He probably has the best hands we've ever seen out of a running back. And I've thought back to a few that were really fucking good out of the backfield. Talking guys like, Chris Thompson, who's currently playing, and Marshall Faulk, and guys, Marshall Faulk is probably the number one to think about in terms of hands, but McCaffrey is legitimately like a wide receiver with a running back build.
Andy?
But I love me some Dalvin Cook.
Andy?
My thing is, we talked about what's more sustainable, right?
You've made your point. Hold on.
No, I haven't made my point yet.
No,
what's
hold
more
on.
sustainable is what we talked about, right?
Stop it.
I think McCaffery is definitely more sustainable, though, because of the way the NFL is going. Because it's a lot of catching the ball in the backfield, hit the edge. That's where I'm going to go. McCaffrey's better for that reason. Cook protects his quarterback better, though.
That's good to hear. You know what else is going to be good to hear? Whatever Andy's about to say, because the look on his face was like, oh, let's go. All right, what do you got, Andy?
The best? I think that's crazy.
Who's a better route runner out of the backfield?
There's a better route runner out of the backfield right now.
Who?
It's Saquon Barkley.
Route runner?
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
You brought up Marshall Faulk. I'm going to bring up Lindanian Tomlinson is another one. You're cringing because you spoke a little crazy.
I didn't.
I love McCaffrey.
Tomlinson wasn't a great route runner. He had great hands.
What?
He had great hands.
Come on, man. Like, he didn't even play in this era. If he had played this era, it would have been a whole different story. What's that?
He caught swing passes.
I ain't hear you still.
Yeah.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. So, I think to your point, though, I'm surprised you didn't bring this up. I called Dalvin Cook. The word was marginal. I said that. That was a few weeks back. Fuck. So that's wrong.
I'm glad you brought it up because humility is something we support here.
Well, listen. I'm not even sure why I said that.
I'm just so glad.
Look, here's the thing. I'm gonna speak on when you said humility was after week 3. And he was then, and he still is now, leading the league in rushing yards. And that was the point I made back to you. You said he's like a marginal running back. I said, well, he's leading the league in rushing. He's still leading the league in rushing.
I thought it was a little bit of a fluke. I think he's like 14,000 rushing yards right now this season. McCaffrey in the total yards is like 3 or 4 back, a couple less games because of the bye week and the fact that the Vikings have already played this week. I do have to go, to keep it short, I have to go with McCaffrey, I think, because of the sustainability, the fact that he's not necessarily not that he's not a bruiser, but he's not relying on being a bruiser as Cook is. Cook has to run the ball. Cook doesn't get the receiving yards. McCaffrey is more to this generation. And, I agree with you that he's a great route runner. He has great hands. He can run the ball, all of that shit. And, where the fuck did a white boy get these skills? Because that shit doesn't happen.
You met his father?
It's it's still, though. Come on, man.
His father married a track star.
Listen,
he's swimming in the deep end of the gene pool.
I mean, listen, Bruce Jenner was a fucking athlete at both sexes, and I don't see fucking Kendall out here doing anything. So, I mean,
Bruce Jenner is the most athletic female that's ever lived.
I got to go with McCaffrey. I think that Dalvin Cook is the guy. I'm eating crow on what I said about him.
Fucking before. Pinkies out, Gary. Pinkies fucking out.
Obviously, the injury hurts Cook a little bit going forward with sustainability, as we talked to.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah, McCaffrey, dude. That fucking guy. But Dalvin Cook, man, shout out. Even though he played for the Vikings, that sucks.
Oh, son of a bitch. So, on the subject of
Raul brought up Kirk Cousins too, by the way. I sent my support for Kirk Cousins before he went on the 3-week tear. Just that right there.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, just the letter K. Acknowledge. See,
Mhm.
it's not as nice whenever you say shit like that after Andy gets a fresh plate of crow right in front of him, or whenever I did it, because you did the same shit whenever I was like, "Hey, I was wrong." You're like, "Oh, hey, also,
Oh, hey,
I
by the
was
way.
I was right about this." Like, man, get your Poindexter ass out of here with that bullshit. All right, fuck all the way off. Let's get on to the last subject. We're gonna talk about dumpster fires. All right. And I'm not talking about the dumpster fire that is spreading all over California. I'm talking about the dumpster fire that is Cam Newton. So, Cam Newton, just a perfect example of the depletion of mediocre running quarterbacks. That's my guns. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. So, Gary, let's go back to you first. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know what they do. I think the Panthers are stupid if they go back to Cam with the way that Kyle Allen's playing and the way the team's playing around him. And I don't think it takes a lot of football savvy to see that. I think it's a difficult transition because Cam was such a popular player before his injury and the way Kyle Allen has played. I don't see any way they go back to him. I think his future is elsewhere. Honestly, I think leaving Cleveland is going to be his next step.
Carolina.
Did I say Cleveland? I did say Cleveland. God damn it.
Slightly different. I mean, one's an armpit, one's a sweaty armpit.
Hey, so,
Carolina.
So
You're right. I fucked that up. But he's leaving either way. Maybe he goes to Cleveland.
I knew, and I called it earlier, that he played for Carolina.
Yeah, you did.
Anyways.
Pat your back.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he can get into the fucking weird hat industry or something. Or the
he's got a leg up.
Or he can go into the well-dressed lady at church industry, because that's, I mean,
right. You can hang your hat on that.
Yeah, Amazing Grace. So, Andy, what do you think about the whole situation? Is Cam going to come back and take Kyle Allen's spot? That's I feel like it's rightfully his at this point.
I think so. I do. Hey, I'm not Gary. Look at your reaction.
I think you're right. That's the sad part. Yeah,
I was going to say, you're going to agree with this. It's not because he should. It's because he's going to. And, I mean, just for the naysayers out there, Cam Newton's really only had, like, one season better than last season.
He wasn't even the fucking MVP that season.
Regardless, he's only really had, like, one season better than last season. And that was the MVP season. Obviously, 15-1 they won or some shit like that. So, like last season, he was something like 26 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, which, by all intents and purposes is fine. They didn't win a ton. But I can't see it with the popularity that Cam Newton is a polarizing figure, like it or not. And the fact that, they're going to chalk this up to injury. They're going to say, hey, we're winning games. Bring him back into the fold. However, I do think that it's time to probably part ways. And there's some teams out there. There are plenty of teams out there. The Redskins. Look, he flipped the microphone down so fast when I said Redskins. That's why I said the first.
So fucking hurt you.
So listen, there are a lot of teams though that probably will be looking at Cam Newton, right or wrong. I mean, you can love it, hate it, want to kick it in the ass, but they're going to be strictly off of names, probably, or strictly off of his name, probably 7-8 teams out there who are going to talk Cam Newton. Another one, if Ben Roethlisberger can't stay the track with he's getting old and trying to get back into health, the Steelers could be another one. But Cam Newton's going somewhere and he's going to start. I think is probably the long-term effect. But I think as far as this season goes, I think he'll be back starting.
God, you're probably right, but that hurts my soul just to think, because Kyle Allen, not like he hasn't just come in and managed games and they've won in spite of him. The dude has fucking played well, but you're probably right. That name recognition is enough that they'll probably put him back in the starting spot. If they move on, I think he goes to Tampa. I think
that's exactly what I was going to say. Is he's going to fucking be a Buccaneer next year?
I think Bruce Arians brings him down there and tries to kind of revive him. Plus, Cam has a strong arm. He throws a pretty good deep ball. He's not an accurate quarterback, but he throws a pretty good deep ball. And Bruce Arians loves to stretch the field and throw the deep ball.
And he's allergic to seafood too, so I mean it's perfect.
Boom. Yeah, it's perfect. You won't be
no worries on crab legs.
That's
right. So it's probably in the best interest that Jameis Winston make a trade, maybe go to Denver or something, you know? Let's replace
Flacco. Jameis Winston is only out here throwing to the other team. Like it's on purpose. How you can't accidentally be that bad. There's no fucking way.
What's happening in the World Series right now, Gary? Because you're over there having a fucking tantrum. Is that a good tantrum or a bad one?
Eaton just made a diving catch. The Nats have literally had 20 fucking batters or runners in scoring position and have not cashed in.
So we still is 2-0.
It's 3-1.
3-1.
Eaton's eating.
Eaton's eating.
Yeah, buddy.
And they are in DC.
They are in DC.
Okay. Well, it's still not a blowout comparable to Game 2, where
that seventh inning was tough.
Have you seen?
Great from a Nats fan perspective.
Right, yeah. I'm so glad I'm just like generally impartial to baseball. Like even if the Rangers were in the World Series, I'd just be like, shitty. You know? Like, all right, whatever.
We pulled into, I think it was Santa Marta.
Columbia?
It was either Santa Marta or Cartagena during the Rangers World Series. We were watching that overseas. I know you're not a baseball fan, but like the other people on the boat that were baseball fans were watching that from actually, yeah.
Where was it? Curacao.
We were overseas. I don't know. We were overseas watching it. The Rangers were in the World Series then.
Yep. And they did what they do best. They didn't get it done.
Yeah.
So, shout out Ron Washington. Anyways, yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't think that Cam's not a good match at this point. Kyle Allen is obviously shown some promise, and so at this point, I was immediately the moment Andy had said Tampa, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. He was going to go with Tampa. James Winston's,
I totally said Tampa. That was my idea.
Yeah, that was a good call, Andy.
God damn it. It was Gary, wasn't it? Fuck. All you white people look alike. You know what you are? You're a fucking tattletale. That's what you are. You're a goddamn Andy. He's a fucking tattletale.
Yeah, I was going to say, Andy did it.
Fucking guy. Goddamn tattletale.
He tried to give you credit, Andy. Just take it.
I didn't fucking want it. I don't want that credit. I didn't earn it.
You don't want that Cam Newton.
We earn shit on this side of the wall.
We don't fucking steal laptops around here.
We earn this shit on this side of the wall. Whoa. Jesus, guy.
This side of the wall. Yeah. Build a wall around Colorado tomorrow.
I love it.
Let's all just agree to build a wall around California.
Can we just build a wall around every state?
I just want to build a wall
just
around some
fun?
of my fucking coworkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's absolutely do it. Let's just I don't know. Let's just build a wall around Texas so we can fucking secede already.
You're like one of 3 states that would survive seceding. In California, I hate to break it to you, you're not one of those 3.
Oh yeah, no. You're
You have
bleeding
no
hearts and
water
your extreme
because
inflation.
yeah, exactly. You have no water.
Well, because
and
Nestle took all that shit. You ain't getting it back. Nestle has all your water, and they're holding that shit for ransom in Walmart.
You sold that shit for pennies.
Goddamn right. So, episode 26, we've got a salute to service. It's going to go to Specialist Michael Isaiah Nance. He passed away July 29th, 2019, serving during Operations Freedom Sentinel. He was 24 years old, of Chicago, Illinois. He passed away from small arms fire in a reported insider attack. He was assigned to, let's see if I can get through this one, Company B, 1st Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He was one of 2 soldiers that were killed in the incident, the other being PFC Brandon Kersher. So with that being said, Private Kersher, Specialist Nance, we've got to watch.
Did you say fucking insider attack?
Insider attack.
Fuck all of that.
Right?
Does that mean exactly what the fuck I think it means?
Yeah.
That means exactly what the fuck you think it means.
It either means American coalition force or host nation.
That means they were training people and one of them killed them. Yep. Or an American killed an American.
Right.
That's that bullshit.
That bullshit. Yep.
Yep,
Jesus
absolutely.
Fuck.
Yeah,
I could do a whole show about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. That's the most wild fucking shit ever.
Fucking 24-year-old kid. He's not going to go home to his family now because of that.
Because it's some insider. And Andy, you're right. Like you talk about the possibilities of that. It could be somebody we're working with, or it could be our own fucking people.
That's right. I had a friend of mine who went downrange and had a similar issue where he got off watch and they had a host nations guy in a intelligence connex that was working, and then he went back in there and everybody in there was killed. They used their blood to paint a bunch of shit on the walls, and that was it. Just like, man,
how the fuck does that even happen? What sort of inhumanity does it take to go there?
It's primitive, you know what I mean? And it's not even it doesn't matter what part of the world you are. This is a psychological issue. This is purely you are in a primitive fucking state of mind to think not only you're going to slaughter some people, but you're going to use their blood to paint something on a wall.
Right, and you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means you're an asshole.
Yeah. Yep.
The word asshole doesn't get enough play.
So
the word asshole is a good word. Asshole.
It is a great word.
It's a great word. It's a fucking sphincter. So, Specialist Nance and PFC Kreischer, we appreciate your service and rest in peace. So, damn shame, gone too soon. So
that shit pisses me off.
I think it's stories like that that kind of,
those hit a nerve, man.
Yeah.
That hits a fucking nerve.
Yeah, it really does. And last week, we had the opportunity and for me at least, listening to his stories, it was a privilege to sit down and talk to him with him last week. Tim Kennedy talking about his salute to service, someone that he knew personally,
legit, like
Andrew McKenna, an operator
he deployed with,
certified badass, an operator that went under fire, took multiple gunshot wounds, and continued to fight back despite getting shot time and time again. And it's a damn shame. It's sad. It's motivating and sad at the same time. I don't really know how to explain it. It just kind of turns the key on that little inner patriot, I think, in a lot of people, me being one of them. It's these colors don't fucking run. That's right. Anyways, so that being said, I think we got episode 26 down to a close. I think we all agree that James Winston needs to be worrying about his job. Christian McCaffrey is going to continue running it down the middle on and off the field. Dalvin Cook is still doing the same, you know. We just don't really care about who he's bagging.
Yeah, his sexual exploits are not public.
Yeah, and that's good for him, honestly. And then Sanders and Gordon, or I'm not Gordon.
Sanu.
Sanders and
Gordon's
Sanu. He's over there, you know.
On IR.
He's over there littering and
knee
smoking
injury.
the reefer. Knee injury. Season-ending IR. You got Mohamed Sanu and Emmanuel Sanders that are gonna eat this season. Thanks to some fortunate trades for those guys. And then on top of that, I think this has been a good episode. Good episode all around. And to cap it all off, we're going to find out whether or not Andy Reid is going to be dumb enough to play Patrick Mahomes against a very dangerous Green Bay Packers defense. So, that being said, I got Andy Flint. I got Gary Freeze. Episode 26. We're out.